Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to enter the Poserverse. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. Yeah, new DC comic. What would you do? But you know what I'm here to talk about. The books that I'm excited to pick up on the real new comic book day, this Wednesday, the 25th of August. So to check out what I think you should read along with me, we'll see what I got on the list after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I clicked on League of Comic Geeks, and this is going to be an expensive week for me. So to help me pay for all these books, don't forget I got a Whatnot auction on Thursday at 8:30 Central. I'm back. I took a week off. I'm rare and ready to go. I got some weird things. It'll be fun. Alright, first up on our list is Alien number 6. I've really enjoyed the direction this series has gone throughout the entirety of the first arc so far. This is the most invested I've been in an ongoing Alien title in quite some time. Avengers Annual number 1's coming out. This is the end of the Infinite Destinies arc. So I want to see what happens in this storyline that I've, been intrigued by a lot of things going on in the Avengers. We'll see if I keep pulling it after the annual or not. I'm not 100% sure. But apparently there's a new character who beats Cappy, so we'll see. Next from DC is Batman and Reptilian number 3. I've enjoyed this series. You all hear me talk all the time about how I like Garth Ennis. I just love how creepy this title is. Yeah, if you're not reading Reptilian and you're any kind of Batman fan and you like any kind of horror book, you should be reading this. Next from Cave Studios is Becstar number 4. Again, I've enjoyed this title. I feel like people have slept on this one maybe a little bit too much, but I like watching again the hopping around the different planets to figure out what is happening in terms of bringing these different artifacts back together. I think this is well written. I think the art in it is really good, and you should check it out. Next from Marvel is Black Widow number 10. Again, this has been another series that I really enjoy a lot. I'm still shocked that it got the Eisner for Best New Series, but that kind of speaks to how kick-ass Kelly Thompson and the team are doing on this book. Next up from Vault is the Blue Flame number 4. This is something that I think you haven't heard me talk about before, because I picked up the 3 just kind of randomly shopping and finally read them and was like, oh, holy crap, this needs to go on my pull list. It's a cool story about, some vigilantes who were, lost in gunfire in the first 2 issues, and Sam, Blue Flame is the hero who is kind of fighting for his life, but you also find out that somehow he's on some kind of plane where he is, defending why Earth should not be wiped off the face of the universe. So I'm really intrigued by this, that I think this is a really, really cool story that has some good old school, silverish superhero vibes in it. Next up is Cable Reloaded number 1. I'm behind on my X-Men stuff, so I didn't know that the previous Cable arc had ended. Oops. From DC is Checkmate number 3. Again, I love the Leviathan storyline, so I'm really, into checking this one out. From Boom Studios is Dark Blood number 2. I was somewhat intrigued by what happened in issue number 1, but I feel like I've read a couple of other stories based in a similar premise that are doing it a little bit better than this one. So, for the first time in a while, I might be actively thinking about axing an indie book after the second issue, so we'll see how I feel next week. We'll see if issue number 2 comes through for me. Next up from Marvel, we get Dark Hawk number 1. I really enjoyed the one-shot 30th anniversary book, the 25th 30th anniversary when it came out. So I'm ready to see what happens with the new Dark Hawk and the new amulet and the things that get him all in there. We've got Department of Truth number 12. I love this. I will have to die to not buy this comic when it comes out every week. Next up from Image is Die number 19. This is the last, or towards the last book of the series, I believe, that I think this is wrapping around issue number 20, but we can see the final encounter is on the horizon. So what happens to our party, even though they're all still kind of falling apart and in shambles. Next up from Blackout Comics is Gen Hunter number 2. This is written by my man Jay Sandlin, who I missed the first issue of it hitting the shelves that I saw him promote it too late. Picked it up from Black Box that I got. He and the titles that he and Brian Hawkins have been putting out through them. So I think I got this on for FOC for my shop, but I also know that I pre-ordered number 2 through Blackout as well. Echo Lands number 1 from Image is coming out. This story is interesting in terms of looking at like how the final war on Earth starts with kind of like a rogue. The other thing that I like looking at the preview of this book is, I know some folks get mad when they have to turn their comic this way while they are reading. Echo Lands looks like it's just going to abuse the page in terms of, you know, how the book is oriented as you read it. That I think it all might be horizontal. I don't know. I think it's either all horizontal or it's shifty, but I'm excited to check it out. Next up from Behemoth is Freak Snow number 4. Again, you all know how much I love this series, how crazy it is that I still can't believe that I had a pull quote on the front of issue number 2. But I'm excited to see how this first arc ends and then what comes next for it. Next up from Boom Studios is Good Luck number 3. Y'all know how much I love how just frantic Matthew Erdman is in terms of his personality. I really feel like that's what's going on in this book as well, that this is pure chaos on the page. I loved issue 2 more than I did issue number 1, so I'm excited, especially in talking to Ryan, the Cosmic Campfire, to see how he feels about this, or if he tapped out after issue number 1. We got Icon and Rocket Season 1 number 2. I can't remember if I read the first one or not. I know that I read Static and I read Hardware. I can't remember if I read this one. It might be in my catch-up pile. Next from Image is Philadelphia 16. We get part 4. We get, again, the Adamses and Thomas Jefferson going absolutely buck wild. This series continues to get A, better, and B, more insane as we go on, and I don't know how JSA and Rodney Barnes continue to make this as bonkers as they do. Next up from Image is King Spawn number 1. I'm literally just pulling this, you know, to see if it blows up in about 400 years, but maybe this will convert me to reading Spawn. We'll see. From Mad Cave Studios, we got Knights of the Golden Sun number 13. Y'all know that I love this kind of retelling of the Providence is Lost period of the Bible, that I just keep finding new ways to lean in and get surprised with all of the drama that shows up in this series. From Image is Mother of Madness number 2. I thought number 1 was pretty okay. That I liked some of the writing, I liked the attitude, so we'll see if I still like issue number 2, but even if I don't, I'll still probably pull the third and final book, because, you know, I'm a completionist and a little anal retentive at times about that. Next, we get Made in Korea number 4, after dealing with, you know, our AI child falling in love with some new friends, and starting to have that first I hate you confrontational moment with her adoptive human parents. I really like what's going on. I also like how the scientist who created this one that has that backdoor in it got a good talking to in the last issue, where it's like, oh, you mean a creepy dude showing up out of nowhere trying to coax a kid into a car didn't go well for you? Nah. Next up from Behemoth Happy Tank is Motherfuckers number 3. This might be the last issue of this that I pull that I think I'm either just confused at what's going on, or this is one of those rare books that's just not for me. The art is cool. The story is maybe just a little hard for me to get into. From Valiant, we got Ninjak number 2. I really enjoyed the first issue. If you watched Sunday's video, then you'll know that Ninjak number 3 hit final order cutoff on Monday of this week. But I really think it's a good revitalization of this character. Next up from Boom is Once and Future number 19. Yes, please. I feel like it's been a couple of months since we've seen a book from... Since we got issue 18, I can't remember if it was the end of the arc and they took a pause for a while. I know that, Dan Mora doing the art on Detective was something that they kind of talked about, spacing this out a little bit more. But I'm ready for the collision of the other world and the real world and the chaos of the Arthurian legend to come back together. From Aftershock, we got Project Patron number 5. Number 4 was weird. We found out some really questionable things about shifts in the origin of the Patron, but the Patrons, mortal enemies are back, and it really raised the kind of intensity at the end of the issue. So I want to see how the folks who come together to take on the mantle of the Patron deal with this threat. Resistance Uprising number 5 comes out this week. Again, I really enjoyed the Free Comic Book Day book from this. I am loving what is happening in Moss, and I think these two stories are coming together to kind of draw a bigger picture of what the Resistance is capable of quite nicely. Next up from Boom is Something Is Killing the Children number 19. Number 18 really left you on that big cliffhanger of what does this game of nowhere look like? What does this training look like? We knew it was about to start. And now I believe this book is all focused on that trial. How does she become initiated into the Order of St. George? That I am real excited for this one. Static talked about this a few minutes ago. I'm enjoying all of these milestone reboots. I just couldn't remember if I've read Icon and Rocket. Next from Marvel is Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads number 2. These are the Spider-Man titles that I am a fan of. Watching what he is doing with Doctor Strange is just a fun, refreshing difference from the typical Spider-Man story for me. From Image is SYPHON number 2. SYPHON number 1 blew my mind in terms of looking at how this character kind of repurposes pain from others. He discovers other people of similar abilities, and I'm really intrigued to see which direction this story leans in issue number 2. From Image is That Texas Blood number 9. I really enjoy what is happening in this 1981 arc that I really enjoyed a lot more than the first arc personally, but I want to watch what happens against the Cult. What is this dark moment from his path? We got Thor 16. It's Thor, I'm going to keep reading it. United States of Captain America number 3, I still kind of like the way that this is telling the new story, and we get a cultural landmark in Kansas. I don't know what that one's going to be. I'm excited to find out as someone who lives in Kansas. Vinyl number 3, this is just a wild title as we get our serial killer dealing with a cult. Yeah, it's wickedly disturbing. Is a good way to describe this book, and if it is finding a way to increase the intensity of it being wickedly disturbing, then I don't know how much crazier that this book can get. From Marvel, we got Winter Guard number 1, so I'm ready to get my White Widow and Red Guardian on. I'm excited to check this out. That I picked up a similar version of this team's first appearance a couple months ago from, I think it was Castle Comics and Collectibles, or the Boss Kong himself. Wolverine, I'm behind, and You Promised Me Darkness number 5. I think this was supposed to come out last week and got pushed to this week, but the first arc is now done. Last thing I want to talk about is everything that is coming out from Scout this week. I have been up on a couple of these, and I've just been letting some of the other ones add to the pile from my Scout boxes. Cherry Blackbird is fantastic. I really like the first issue where we find out the gift she gets from Satan. Y'all know that I love Joseph Schmalke. This book is fire. By the Horns, I enjoyed issue number 1, but I haven't read anything else since then that I'm gonna get caught up on that probably at the break of the arc. I really loved Redshift issue number 1. Number 2, you know, we're going to find out what happens on the next launch day in terms of looking for another place for humans to colonize before they all die. Stake, I'm behind on, but still love the series that I think I'm up to issue number 3. I'm also behind on Rabid World. Broken Souls Ballad is an amazing way to look at how people are getting different powers, right? That I am liking kind of what we're seeing a little bit in like Moths, but way fucking creepier. Life Formed, I have not checked out yet, or Dancing with the Dragon, that I think I'm waiting on both of these to either pop in my email from the press list for Scout or in my Scout box, which should be here. I think orders for that close tomorrow. So it should be here in about a week or two, and I'm excited to check that out. What do y'all think? Is there anything that I'm picking up this week that you think I should just, you know, cut the fat and let it go? Is there anything that I'm not picking up that you think I definitely would be interested in? I know that if you're in the chat, you're letting me know over here. If not, and you're watching this on the rewind, let me know in the comments down below. But as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.